Jean-Claude Van Damme, name that sounds both powerful and strangely resonant, yet behind it lies a long journey. Born in 1960 in Brussels, Belgium, Jean-Claude grew up in an ordinary family, with nothing to suggest that he would one day become a global action icon. The nickname Muscles from Brussels came much later, when his muscular physique and piercing stare carried him from an unknown martial artist to a Hollywood legend. But to reach that moment, his path was a grueling chain of challenges that could have broken many others. As a teenager, young Jean-Claude showed an early fascination with the body and its movements. He spent countless hours in a Brussels karate gym, tirelessly perfecting strikes and kicks, as if his body were the only language he could use to communicate with the world. Alongside karate, he sought other disciplines to sharpen his endurance and focus. While his peers pursued carefree, youthful lifestyles, Van Damme immersed himself in harsh training, imposing a strict discipline on himself. By the late 1970s, with confidence in his abilities, he left home in search of a breakthrough. Arriving in the U.S., Jean-Claude did not immediately find his way into acting. He worked odd jobs: waiter, driver, even personal bodyguard for Chuck Norris. These seemingly humble years forged the resilience he needed to survive in Hollywood, a place where casting doors slammed shut, rejections were routine, and he had to balance daily survival with the discipline of training to preserve his fighter's instinct. What's more, Van Damme had to wage an even harder battle with himself. His life became a storm of upheavals: 5 marriages, messy divorces, battles with addiction, and long nights confronting bipolar disorder. The media never missed a chance to expose his scars, but amid the chaos, Van Damme proved one thing: he never feared failure, and he always found the strength to stand up again. In the early 1980s, luck finally smiled when action filmmakers took notice. His role in Bloodsport, 1988, was the turning point, transforming an unfamiliar face into an international star. From there came a string of successes: Kickboxer, Universal Soldier, Timecop, each adding another layer to his image as the ideal action hero, combining strength, speed, and extraordinary flexibility. Looking back, Van Damme's life reads like a long film. The Belgian boy chasing the American dream, the struggling immigrant, the blazing Hollywood star, and finally, the man who sometimes laughs at his own wounds before growing stronger. And from this point, we can go deeper, exploring the surprising, sometimes strange talents that shaped the irreplaceable Jean-Claude Van Damme. While many think Van Damme was built on raw punches, the truth is, he started with dance. As a teenager, instead of football, the national sport in Belgium, Jean-Claude chose ballet. Friends mocked him, calling it a girl's art, unfit for a boy who dreamed of becoming a fighter. But Van Damme saw ballet differently. To him, it was the ultimate training ground for both body and mind. "If you can survive ballet, you can survive any sport," he once said. 5 years of ballet not only gave him supple legs, but also rhythm, balance, and beauty in movement. This unexpected foundation became his secret weapon in Hollywood. In fight scenes, he didn't just kick or strike, he moved like a dancer, turning martial arts into a performance of grace and power. Ballet infused every split and spin with a fluidity that audiences couldn't look away from. The clearest proof came in Kickboxer, 1989, when Van Damme danced in a bar before a fight. What seemed like comic relief was actually a showcase of ballet discipline, every bounce, every hip sway, controlled with precision. A muscular fighter moving with a dancer's grace shattered stereotypes, making the scene iconic. Van Damme never regretted this choice, despite ridicule. On the contrary, he credits ballet as the secret that set him apart. While others relied on brute strength, Van Damme leaned on the art of movement, blending power with elegance. That's what made him not just a fighter, but an artist. Audiences may not have realized it, but when their hearts raced at each kick and spin, they were witnessing ballet hidden inside action. If ballet was the foundation, martial arts was Van Damme's soul. He began Shotokan karate at age 10 under strict masters in Brussels, eventually earning a black belt and competing across Europe. He expanded into taekwondo, kickboxing, and even Muay Thai, each discipline adding precision, speed, strength, and endurance. Unlike many action stars who merely pretended on screen, Van Damme had real fighting credentials. He fought dozens of kickboxing matches, earning victories and a reputation before stepping into film. Rare footage from tournaments shows a young Van Damme delivering lightning-fast spinning kicks with icy focus, the confidence of a real warrior. Because of this deep martial arts background, Hollywood never needed stunt doubles for his fights. In Bloodsport, 1988, audiences were mesmerized by the authenticity of each strike and split, all drawn from decades of training. He wasn't just acting, he was living martial arts on screen. This gave his films a unique edge. His fight scenes carried precision, beauty, and danger because they were real. Filmmakers built him up as the invincible hero, and audiences believed it, knowing he was a fighter first and foremost. That's why Van Damme became a global action icon. In the 1980s to 90s, while Stallone and Schwarzenegger dominated with guns and muscle, Van Damme carved his niche with his legs and martial skill. The high kicks, the perfect spins, these became his signature. Ballet gave him grace, martial arts gave him power, and Van Damme stood at their intersection. That fusion explains why the moment he entered the frame, he commanded all attention. In action film history, few moves are as iconic as Jean-Claude Van Damme's split. The image of him dropping into a full 180-degree split, holding balance as if born to do it, has been etched into memory since the late 1980s. What's remarkable is that it wasn't a camera trick or CGI, it was real, honed from relentless teenage training until it became second nature. The first time audiences truly gasped was in Bloodsport, 1988, during a climactic fight when he suddenly dropped into a full split and struck down his opponent. It wasn't just a move, it was cinema. Van Damme carried the split into nearly every film. The grueling training sequence in Kickboxer, or the unforgettable Timecop, 1994, moment where he splits between two counters to avoid electrocution. Each time, the split was more than a stunt. It was a declaration. This is Van Damme, unmistakable, incomparable. The pinnacle that reminded the public of Van Damme's signature move came in 2013, when he performed a split between two Volvo trucks reversing in parallel. The commercial lasted just over a minute, but it became a global phenomenon. Tens of millions of views, countless parodies, from Channing Tatum to a cartoon goat-all, tried to recreate the iconic stunt. Van Damme was already over 50, yet his flexibility and balance left the world in awe. The Volvo clip didn't just advertise trucks. It proved that the Van Damme brand would never fade. What made the split special was the intersection of ballet and martial arts. Ballet gave him grace and balance in every muscle fiber. Martial arts gave him strength and the endurance to withstand brutal training. Combined, Van Damme's body became a flexible machine, able to execute the perfect split without losing power. Many saw the split as a mere trick, but for Van Damme, it was proof of perseverance. Thousands of hours of training created the effortless ease of a posture most people can't hold for more than a few seconds. It was not just a physical feat, but a symbol of spirit. Pushing through pain, breaking limits, and turning the impossible into a personal signature. Today, mention the word split, and audiences immediately think of Jean-Claude Van Damme. Like a unique note tied to a song, The split is his signature on the canvas of action cinema. And through it, Van Damme asserted his place, not just a star of his era, but a living template for the transcendence of the human body. Of course, stopping here would mean missing another side of Van Damme, the man who knew how to laugh at himself. His sense of humor often surfaced on television, interviews, and talk shows, where he had no fear of turning himself into the punchline to bridge the gap with audiences. In the 1990s, even at the height of his career, Van Damme was already willing to poke fun at his own trademarks. On The Tonight Show, he suddenly performed a split on the host's desk, then jokingly complained that standing up is the hard part. The crowd roared with laughter, and the invincible hero instantly became more relatable. On another show, he mocked his career decline, calling it a lesson that taught him how to heal faster than most people. More recently, he filmed TikTok clips parodying his own splits, this time failing on purpose and collapsing to the floor, earning millions of shares from young fans. Importantly, Van Damme didn't use humor as a mask to hide his past, but as a way to accept it. When facing failures, he retold them with wit, making people laugh while also feeling empathy. This self-deprecating style set him apart as one of the few action stars who dared to break the mold of serious, mighty heroes, and instead show himself as a real man with clumsiness, scars, and resilience. His humor also thrived online. Van Damme joined meme-style videos, reenacting his own classic fight scenes with over-the-top silliness. Younger fans, who never grew up with Bloodsport or Kickboxer, fell in love with him precisely because of this playful spirit. In the age of the internet, a funny split was worth more than 100 glowing reviews. Paradoxically, this humor brought him closer to the audience. It showed he wasn't a cold muscle machine, but a sensitive human, unafraid to show many emotions while always pushing forward. Sometimes that self-deprecating smile was his strongest punch against prejudice. If all he had was martial arts and muscle, Van Damme might have remained a European fighter. But what carried him further, and made him a legend, was perseverance. When he arrived in America in the early 1980s, he wasn't a star, not even an actor. He was just a Belgian kid with poor English and an oversized dream. To survive, he did any job he could: waiter, mover, driver, bodyguard. Yet he never saw this as humiliation-only stepping stones. In Chuck Norris's gym, Van Damme trained relentlessly, seizing every chance to be noticed, even for a few seconds, as a faceless villain getting knocked out on screen. He accepted it, knowing each moment was a brick in his path to Hollywood. That perseverance also defined how he handled failure. After the 2000s, Van Damme's career spiraled down. Flops on screen, scandals in his private life. Many thought he was finished. But instead of disappearing, he fought back, starring as himself in JCVD, 2008, a raw, self-reflective film that exposed both his glory and pain. It didn't just revive his career, it proved that Van Damme never quits, even when every door seems closed. His story of From Zero to Hero is the ultimate lesson. Success doesn't come from luck, but from relentless persistence. From a Belgian boy mocked for studying ballet, to a struggling immigrant juggling odd jobs in America, to the muscles from Brussels known worldwide, none of it would have happened without sheer determination. This quiet talent of persistence ties everything together: ballet, kickboxing rings, Hollywood screens. Without perseverance, there would be no Van Damme. If you ever loved Van Damme, revisit the films that made his name: Bloodsport, Kickboxer, Universal Soldier, Timecop. If you want to witness ageless flexibility, watch the Volvo truck's epic split. And if you're curious about the real Van Damme, find that interview where he did a split live on TV and cracked a joke. Each moment shows the truth. Van Damme is not just an action star, but a man who knows how to live fully with both light and shadow. And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and leave a comment with your thoughts on Jean-Claude Van Damme. Subscribe to the channel for more videos where we'll keep exploring the hidden sides, surprising talents, and untold stories of Hollywood legends. Because, as Van Damme himself has proven, behind every star lies a world worth pausing to admire.